Hi everyone, this is Kendall from Sager Family Farm. Thank you for joining me for the chick update today. If you're new here, there is a window over here where you can type in some questions. You or a parent can type questions to me. Only I can see your questions. So you can type in whatever you want. No one else can see your questions. And you guys can see me, but I cannot see or hear you, and no one else can see or hear you. So it's just like watching me. And then if you want to ask me questions, you can ask them over here. I'll try to get all the questions closer to the end just because it's a little tricky to show pictures and videos and answer questions all at the same time. So if you type them in, I won't forget you. I'll get to them at the very end. So like I said, today we're going to be doing an update on our baby chicks. So they started out as eggs and then they hatched, and today they are 5 weeks old. So usually I do this class in with the chickens right next to me because they're in the house, but today we have moved them outside. We actually moved them outside over the weekend. So I'm going to show you guys a quick video of where the chickens currently live. So that'll start just a second here. So here is where the baby chickens live now. You can see this is actually underneath the chicken coop. So you can just see the doors of the chicken coop up top, and the sheep actually sleep down here. They sleep in half, and then the baby chickens are over here. So we'll open up the cage. You can see they're all kind of resting comfortably. And since it is outdoors and they're only 5 weeks old, we still have the heat lamp in here to keep them warm. During the day, they don't need it so much, but at night, it still gets a little chilly for them. They don't have all of their feathers. The other change is if you look at the bedding, they now sit on straw instead of the wood shavings. And that's because sheep cannot eat wood shavings, and my sheep love to try to eat everything in the baby chicken cage. So the straw is safer for the sheep. So I'm just getting them used to that. The other reason why we're moving them outside, other than just they're too messy to be inside, is they're safe in their cage right now, so they cannot interact with the big chickens, but the big chickens can see them and the little chickens can see the big chickens. So it's getting them used to each other while still keeping them safe from one another. The baby chickens are still a little too small to protect themselves and keep warm. So we don't want to fully integrate them, but we want to start introducing them. So now let's take some close-up pictures of the baby chicks. So let's take a look at what they all look like right now. So here are our, oops, it still says week 4, but it's really week 5. So here are our 5 chicks that are now 5 weeks old. Delilah, Cookie, Captain Chicken Pants, Ross, changed from Rosie last week, and Pip. So these are our 5 chickens. And let's take a closer look at Delilah. So Delilah has grown quite a bit from the fuzzy little chick she was when she first hatched to now in week 5. So she's got a lot more feathers right now. And if we look at the difference between week 4, and my picture is covering up week 5, I think, the text, but this is week 4 versus week 5, I don't actually see a whole lot of differences. There are maybe some tiny differences in her feathers. So she's actually going to continue to grow new feathers until she's about 6 months old. So she's just going to continuously be growing bigger and bigger feathers to cover her body as she continues to grow. So the biggest change I actually see in Delilah this week is her size. So if we look at the size, here I have an egg at the bottom of the picture so we can see the size comparison. So this is actually to scale. So the chicken is growing bigger and bigger. And past this point, those are going to be the main changes we would see every week, is that the chicken's getting bigger because most of her body really is covered in feathers. So her coloring might change. She's going to continue to grow a comb and some wattles, which will come in a little closer to 3 or 4 months old. So that's a further way away. So it's going to be a slower change than the change over the last few weeks. And now let's take a look at Cookie. So Cookie she's changed a little bit in her coloring. We can see in week 1, she had kind of some whitish feather tips. And now in week 5, she's almost all black. So her coloring has changed a little bit. And let's take a close-up view over the last 3 weeks. And let's see if I can draw over this. Let's see. I'll just get my pen out so I can point out some of the bigger changes. And let me move where I am. All right, so over here we can see in week 3, if we look at Cookie's head, she's got all of these little fuzz on her. And then if we look at week 4, she still has these kind of little white tufts here and there. And these are the last bits of her fuzzy down feathers. So that's what the chicks are covered in when they're first born, is that fluffy sort of feathers called down. So she's still got those few little tufts. And now if we look at week 5, she still has a few little tufts, but she is really growing in more feathers. So she's getting less and less down as the weeks go on. And this is what's helping keep them warm. So those feathers are gonna help keep them warm at night. So that's why we're still keeping the chicks warm with a heat lamp. So now let's take a look at one of the other chickens. Let's look at Captain Chicken Pants. So Captain Chicken Pants, last week we noticed that he was really growing a comb. So that's usually the bright red part on the top of the chicken's head, right between kind of their beak and where their eyes are. And you can see in week 4, Captain Chicken Pants is starting to grow a larger comb. So this is what's kind of indicating to me that Captain Chicken Pants is a boy instead of a girl. The other thing is that the chicken's hackles, these are the feathers on the back of the chicken's neck, are starting to become really colorful. Usually boys are the most beautiful chickens. So roosters are much more beautiful and colorful than the hens. So if we look at the back of Captain Chicken Pants' neck in week 4 versus week 5, he's starting to grow in these beautiful copper feathers that you can really see really well in the sunlight. But he's getting more and more of those beautiful copper feathers. So that is the other big difference. So these are the main differences that I have seen with our chickens over the last few weeks. Is their combs didn't really grow any bigger, but the hackle feathers are becoming more colorful. They're definitely getting bigger, and they're losing a lot of their downy fuzz. So now let me go over here and see if you guys have any questions. So I'm going to go back to full screen so I can answer your questions about the chicks. So let's see. I've got some questions in here of what is my favorite animal? And I'm going to say it is very hard to choose my favorite animal, because if you've been seeing some of my other videos, I have baby chicks. I have my big full-grown chickens that lay eggs for me. I have 2 miniature sheep, which I'm going to talk about more on Thursday. And I have 2 kitties that live indoors with me, and I have bees. So I have a lot of beehives. I keep about 30 beehives, which means I have about 1.2 million bees as pets. So choosing a favorite between all of those is really hard. So I actually like them all for different reasons. So I try not to choose favorites between all of my lovely animals. The first critter that I got were the bees, so I have a special place in my heart for them, but I do love all of my animals. And let's see, there was another question on showing you guys some of my other pets. So on Thursday, I will give you guys a close-up look at my sheep. So we're going to take a look at where they live, how I take care of them, and then all of the cool stuff that I can get from the sheep. So we're going to take a close-up look on Thursday. And if you missed it, I gave a critter tour a few weeks ago, and I showed you guys all of the animals that I keep here. So I do have a video of that on my website on YouTube, so your parents can help find that for you. It's called Critter Tour and Chick Update, because I combined the 2 of them. So it looks like maybe we don't have many more questions about the chicks. The chicks have been growing and growing every single week. So this is actually going to be our last chick update. And that's because the chicks are getting big enough that the differences are getting a little harder to spot. So it's going to take more time to see big differences. So it's going to take a span of months or so. And a few of our chicks, when they are ready to live outside without a heat lamp, they're going to go to some different homes, because a lot of people have been watching this, and some other folks are actually adopting our baby chickens. So they are actually going to go to another home. So next week, we're actually going to start a new project to follow for 5 weeks and check out. So next week, we'll have a new project. And let's see. Okay, so that actually answered one of the next questions, is will all of the chickens live with me? And so I usually keep a few chickens every single year. So I actually rotate some of my chickens out. Chickens can live for up to 10 years. They usually lay the most eggs from when they're about 6 months old until they're about 4 years old. And then they start laying fewer and fewer eggs. And in the last few years of their life, they might not lay any eggs at all. So I usually, when my chickens are still young and still 2 to 3 years old, I will give them away to other people. So I'm constantly introducing new young chickens into my flock. So I currently keep about 8 big chickens in my flock. And this year, I'm actually not keeping any of my baby chicks. So my baby chicks are all going to go to different homes, but they are going to wonderful people. So I'm sure if I ask them to snap some pictures for me, we'll get to see some updates as they grow up a little bit more. And let's see, do the chicks like heat? So the chicks do like heat up to a certain point. So the chicks, when they're little itty bitty babies, they like to be kept about 95 degrees. So that is really hot. If it was 95 degrees outside, I would definitely want to be inside with some air conditioning or outside in a pool, drinking some ice water. It would be really, really hot. But these little baby chicks aren't very good at keeping their own bodies warm. So we keep them warm with a heat lamp, or the mama chick stands over top of them. She actually pulls feathers out from her tummy so she can press her warm skin against the baby chicks. As the chicks grow, they drop about 5 degrees every single week. So that means we're approaching about room temperature now. So right now, the chicks like to be about 80 degrees, actually a little bit cooler than that. So they're kind of closer to 75 degrees, which the daytime temperatures are about that right now. And it drops colder during the night. So I still have the heat lamp for them at night, but they are going further away from the heat lamp. So I moved them into a bigger cage so that the heat lamp can be a little bit further away. Chickens in general, though, don't really like really hot weather. So I need to make sure to provide shade for them. And if it gets over about 90 degrees, I actually give my chickens some ice water, because my chickens don't have a way to sweat. So when I get hot, I sweat, and that helps cool my body down. Chickens, they have this warm feather layer all over top of them, and it's really hard for them to cool down. So I try to make sure that they get a lot of water on really hot days, because it can be really dangerous for them, and too hot is bad. But baby chicks, when they're growing up, do need extra heat. It's usually provided by the mother's body or by our nice red heat lamp. Let's see. Oh, I have another question, is do I want more pets? Of course I want more pets. But it's something I have to negotiate with my family, because it takes a lot of work to take care of all of my pets. So I spend a lot of time making sure they're all happy and healthy and clean. So I try not to get too many more pets, but I would like to have a bunny one day, but I'm gonna have to negotiate that with the rest of my family. So right now, I'm gonna stick with the chickens, cats, bees, and sheep. So we don't have any more animals, but you never know. Tomorrow is a new day, and I might get some more. Let's see. Oh, what will we learn next week? So in our updates next week, I'm actually planning to start doing some plant life cycles. So I'm going to plant a few different plants, and we're going to see them grow over the course of a few weeks. So I've got some pumpkin seeds, some sunflower seeds, and some radish seeds, and all of these grow really quickly. So our next project that we're going to see updates on the growth of are going to be these plants. So we're definitely going to check that out. Let's see. If I had one more chick, what would I name it? Oh gosh, I'm actually running out of chicken names because I get so many chickens. So if I had one more chick, I'm not sure what I would name it, but I would probably ask you guys because all of the chicks this year were actually named by people who watched all of the updates. So I actually asked for chicken names. So that's how we came up with Delilah, Rosie, Pip, Captain Chicken Pants, and Rosie, who turned into Ross. So that's how we came up with all the names this year. So I usually ask for a lot of help with my names. And let's see, can we see the chicks again? Sure. Let's look at where they're living one more time. So let's take a look at the video of where they're living. Just to see it one more time, because you can see my big chicken coop with the ramp on the side where the big chickens go up and in, and the sheep sleep in the empty half. I can actually see them on my live chick cam sleeping next to the baby chicks. And Delilah's here right up in front, the little silver chick. We still have their water and their food and the heat lamp in their house. And Delilah, I think in just a minute, she starts grooming herself. So someone asked me how the chicks keep themselves clean, is they put their beak into their feathers and ruffle their feathers. So she was actually cleaning herself for just a second there. So that's where the chicks live. And let me show you guys one more time all of the chicks. So we'll go back to the image of all of the baby chicks so we can see them one more time. But it is cool to see how they've all grown. So here are all of our chicks. Again, and it says week 4, but it's really the 5th week of life. So this is a current picture of each one of our chicks. So they're no longer those small little balls of fuzz. They are pretty big. And let me see if I have any more questions. So I'll take a few more questions. How did the chicks go to the bathroom? So this is why it is a lot of work for me to take care of my chicks. It is because my chicks can go to the bathroom whenever they want, all over the place. So chickens are pretty messy. So they can actually poop in all of that straw. And the straw on the bottom of their cage actually helps absorb moisture, so it keeps it nice and clean. But I have to change that straw out about once a week so that the chickens stay nice and clean. If I don't clean it out and the poop starts to accumulate, there's actually an odor that's really bad for the chicken's lungs. So if they breathe in too much of that, it's pretty bad for them. This is called ammonia. It's something that's found in a lot of pee and poop of animals. So it is found in the poop of chickens, and this can be harmful to their lungs. So I need to make sure to clean out my chicken's cage because they can go to the bathroom wherever they want, whenever they want. Luckily, it's really good for my garden, so I can move it over there once I have cleaned it out. Another question is, do I eat all of the eggs? So my chickens, my 8 chickens, lay so many eggs that I actually give away or sell my eggs. So just like you buy eggs at the market, I can sell my eggs, or I can give them away to my neighbors or anyone who's been helping me out with my critters. So I get, on average, my chickens range in age from about 1 year to 4 years old right now. So that means some of them are slowing down a little bit, but I get on average about 5 eggs a day. And that is just too much for my family to eat unless we ate scrambled eggs and quiche every single day. So I do give away some of my eggs. Let's see. Oh, and I got one name suggestion for next time is Edwina Eggles, which is a great name. So I think with that, I think I have answered all of the questions. So tune in on Thursday if you want to see a close-up look of my sheep and how they live. And then next week, we're going to start a plant project. So we're going to watch plants grow. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to our chick update. Hopefully I'll see you next time. Bye.